Hey everybody, it's Mike Sullivan with Born to Shine. Today we have a super special guest. His name is Ryan Willer, and he is a high school math teacher and the director of leadership at a school in Northern California. And thank you, Ryan, for being with us today. I really appreciate you making the time, man.
My pleasure to be here. I'm super excited.
Cool. So we were talking a little bit uh, before we recorded this, and you we said you're open and willing to share your story. That to me is always, when I hear podcasts, I love hearing the person's story of maybe how they got into teaching or how they got into whatever it is they're doing. So are you open to share that with our listeners?
Absolutely. For me, my journey really began in elementary school, and I was a decent student, but I had one area of weakness, and that was math. I was just always behind on math, and I was kind of skating by with that C minus. You're a good student. Let's keep pushing you forward. Um, and I get to middle school, seventh grade, and first period math scared me, completely nervous walking in the class. We sit down, the teacher does her introduction, and then we have some free time before the bell rings. And there's a student next to me, Will Thomas, a name I'll never forget. He looks at me and goes, "I bet you I can get a better grade in this class than you."
Oh,
And not wanting to back down from a challenge, I'm like, "You're on, it's game." I didn't know he was an A student. And not wanting to give up on the challenge, I just invested everything I had in learning. I came to the teacher before school. I was there at lunch. I was there after school asking questions. I was taking notes, rewriting notes, checking every problem on my homework assignment to make sure I had everything down. And at the end of the year, it was just amazing. All of a sudden, I understood math, and it
wow.
was exciting for me. Like I could finally do these problems. Like what once was impossible was now easy. And so it was like just a complete revolution. Like, and from that moment forward, I just loved math. And so I wanted to take as many math classes as I could. So through high school, I was always taking extra math classes. I would take math classes at the community college during the summer. I just became a sponge and wanted to absorb as much math as possible. Not really sure what I wanted to do with math, but I knew I liked it. And so I felt like if I just kept exploring and kept pushing in, I'll eventually find a path.
That's
When I get
awesome.
Yeah, when I get to community college, my first year there, about halfway through the year, I remember I was walking back to my car, and I just had this thought, and it was, I'm going to be a math teacher. That's the career I wanted to follow. I had been a swim teacher as a second job in high school, and kind of realizing like I had this love of math. I love teaching people. I've TA'd for a lot of classes in high school. I've been around friends' parents who are teachers, helping them out in their classrooms. I love teaching. I love math. Why don't I just put these two together? And it was kind of like a light bulb moment, epiphany here. And that's kind of when I dedicated to wanting to be a math teacher. And I would go on to get my credential and start teaching. And I've always liked the dualness of finding that success in math, but also having that experience of not finding success. And it really allows me to relate to students who are struggling because I know what that feels like. I was there. I remember how stressful it was, how afraid I was to come to class because we were going to learn something new and I was going to be confused and lost. And being able to have that in my background, I feel like has really allowed me to reach students that other teachers haven't been able to reach.
Yeah, because you're sharing your story and some vulnerability that even you, a math wizard, were struggling with math initially. That it took some time, and probably wasn't all natural, and you had to work really hard at it. So that's cool, Ryan. And do you have any tips, I guess, for any of our listeners if they're students that struggle with math? Because personally, really struggled with math. It was so intimidating to me, and all the formulas. And I remember just thinking, if there's 30 steps, if I get step 1 through 28 right, but I mess up 29, it's the wrong answer. So it was really kind of nerve wracking for me. Do you have any tips for students that are listening, how to maybe get through that test anxiety, or anything? Yeah, anything that you may have gone through personally.
I do have a tip, and
Good.
I like it because you can apply it to more than just math. I feel like
Great.
in our culture, we've been conditioned to think mistakes are a bad thing. When you mess up, when you do something wrong, that's not good. And the reality is, especially in math, mistakes are how we learn.
Mm.
Mistakes are something almost to be celebrated because there's learning there. And so I think the hardest thing for me to learn was not to hide like I remember back in middle school when I would get a problem wrong, I'd want to hide from it. I wouldn't look at the test. I would fold it over, throw it in my backpack, lose it. I wouldn't want to see my mistake.
Mm.
And I just closed off from it. It was learning that, wait, that's what I need to learn. I need to figure out where I went wrong and to come back to it and try and understand, what did I miss? Where did I go wrong? And have that like, aha, so this is the next time I see a situation, I need to learn and do this.
That's awesome. So you're reverse engineering. That's how you approach it. Instead of just saying, "Oh, I got it wrong and I feel terrible and now I feel shame," which is what I did. You went in and reverse engineered it and said, "Well, how can I go back in this and methodically find the step that may have been a little bit off, and now I know how to fix that in the future." So that's great. You're right. That applies to not only math but everything in life. So that's a great tip. And then, what are you guys doing with your school individually, and then maybe with your other schools within your district? What have you found that's been helpful over the last year for helping your students reduce some of their anxiety and depression that they've been going through more than usual due to COVID? And all the isolation and just the challenge that they've gone through. Have you guys implemented any new courses or like a wellness center, or what are you guys doing?
That's a great question. We've actually done a number of different things. I think it all begins with really listening to students and really taking some time to have that conversation with small groups of students, ask them how they're doing, how is school going, how are your peers doing, and then just being ready to listen to what they have to say and not be defensive, not be, well, we have this program, we have these things, but really listen to what their needs are and understand that those are needs. We might have programs, but the programs aren't meeting the needs. And we need to kind of reevaluate and rethink how we do things to meet those needs. Our school and our district have started a number of different programs. During the pandemic, we actually opened a wellness center. It opened virtually last year, and then just last week, it opened in person for the first time. And we actually brought every single freshman on the orientation tour to the wellness center and had our peer counseling club, which is also new last year. They were there to welcome the freshmen, tell them about the wellness center, and also talked about different peer counseling programs we have on our campus that students can take advantage of. We've had a number of different Zoom meetings where we invited different students representing different groups on our campus to have conversations with admin and board members and just really talk about how they are seeing the education right now and where are they seeing problems, what is actually stressing them out. We pushed the start time of our school back a half hour based off student feedback. We
Cool.
also changed where our finals were. Our finals used to be in January, so we'd have winter break, come back for 2 weeks and take finals, and that was a major stress point for our students.
Yeah.
We actually moved the whole school calendar district-wide, and so our finals are now before winter break, so students can actually have an enjoyable winter break and not have to think about school.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wow, you guys have great. I love your students. Push the school back a half an hour so they can sleep a little more, which is great. And then making the test before the holiday versus after, so they can just be with their family and enjoy themselves. Yeah, that's really cool. That's cool that you guys are doing that. And what's really cool, Ryan, is that you guys are really listening to your students and their needs, and then slightly modifying your curriculum to fit their needs. That's beautiful. And that you're doing it in small groups, so I'm sure they feel safe, like it's a safe, loving space where they can voice their concerns. So that's, man, good on you guys. That's cool. I love it. And then how many schools do you guys have within your district? I know you're at the high school teaching math and leading the leadership program. And then are there K through 5 or some middle schools in your district?
Yeah, it's a pretty large district. We have 5 high schools, 5 middle schools, a continuation school, and about 40 elementary schools.
40 elementary.
It's a big
Holy moly,
district.
you guys are huge. Yeah, that's amazing. Well, and then is the wellness center open to the little kiddos too, and K through 5 and the middle school as well?
Our wellness center right now is just open for the high school students,
Okay.
but we are working, we have different committees formed at other school sites that are going to be copying our program, implementing them. And we're hoping to have a wellness center in every school as soon as possible.
That's so awesome. Yeah, because they really need that extra support now. So it's so cool what you guys are doing, Ryan. And the last question would be what in addition to the wellness center, what you're doing and how you're listening to your kids and then taking their needs and actually making it happen, is there anything that you would like to see more of for students to get support, or something you could recommend to another district, something that's working really well for you guys, or just any kind of final thoughts in case I missed something, which I'm sure I did?
Yeah, like a couple. I think the first thought I have is that I feel like we often see these problems as huge problems to overcome, and we get stuck in the mindset that we need a big solution for a big problem. And for a long time, that actually held our school hostage. We've known about the stress problem. We've talked about it in staff meetings, and we're looking for that big answer that was going to solve all our problems. We tried a couple of big initiatives. Nothing seemed to work, and it was almost paralyzing. Like nobody
Yeah.
really knew where to start. And all of a sudden, we just tried a small thing and a couple small things, and saw some success there. And I really feel like the big problem can be overwhelming for a lot of people. And it's like, where do you start? Where to begin? And I think the advice I would give is start somewhere. Like identify one small stress on a campus. How can we change it? What thing can we do? It can be something as simple as changing the bell schedule. It could be something as simple as adding time to passing periods, or looking at what clubs you have on your campus and how can we change our clubs. There's all kinds of little things that can be changed that make big differences, and also you can create this momentum. You have a little success here, a little success there, and you build this momentum, and it gets exciting, and it helps fuel you to keep you going, especially when you get to that middle of the school year time when you just question how you're doing, and everyone's kind of a little stressed out because it's the school year. And I think you just have to find that success and build it little by little. I also like just echoing back to making sure that, as a school, I think of it as a family unit, and good families get input from everyone before moving forward. It's not just staff. You have the staff, you have the students, you have the parents, and getting all those players to the table to get their input, to get their thoughts, to get how they're feeling, and to be able to have a safe space where you're not going to get defensive about what may or may not have happened in the past, but really just focus on, okay, we thought this program was great, but from the student perspective, it's causing more problems. Let's be willing to move forward together. And what can we change and do different so that the programs that we're spending time to create are benefiting the students?
I love that, Ryan. Wow, that was phenomenal. So to recap and help me if I got this correct, it sounds like there were three main points. The first of which is to just start, because looking at the huge problem as coming up with some kind of huge, brilliant solution, it almost it causes analysis paralysis, in all of us. And we just, where do we start? How do we do this? But little tiny steps, just little steps doing something, right? It seems like that was step one. And step two is that creates momentum. So those little changes you're making and you're doing it regularly, there's your momentum. And then the third was getting the community, treating the school as a family, right? You have your staff, you have your teachers, you have your students, and you have the parents, and just kind of being flexible on, we thought this would work, it's not working so much, let's kind of move over here and try this. Let's listen to the parents, listen to the students, listen to the staff. And it seems like it's almost kind of like a river. It's flowing and it's moving, and you guys are constantly adjusting. So is that kind of the gist of it? Like just start somewhere, momentum, and then treating it as a family. Is that kind of
I think
accurate?
that's exactly it. And it's almost amazing because, like, talking about now, like you almost forget all the little things that we've done for student wellness because there's just been so much that's happened on campus. And it's not just me, it's not just one student, it's campus wide. Everyone's looking for their little part to be able to contribute and help out.
No, that's amazing, Ryan. Thank you so much, man. That was amazing. I really touched by how you guys are approaching this and helping not only your students, but your staff and the parents, and how you're treating it as a family. It's just awesome. Way to go, man. It's great. Thank you for being a part of this today.
Thank you. My pleasure being here.